Hey everybody, Onepeg here. Hoping that all of you guys are staying safe. Just really quickly, before we get into the video, I realize that with the climate between the Rona and the economic impact therein, a lot of you guys may be in a situation where paying the bills is a little bit harder. I want you to know that I realize that supporting me in places like Twitch and elsewhere always has been, and will continue to be a luxury for just about everybody. While I am overjoyed that you guys have supported me, and I, for the record, do absolutely consider that a gift, I don't expect that if you're unable to or shouldn't be able to, that you continue to support me. I don't slight you in any way. You guys have priorities, and I should be near the bottom of that totem pole. So please do not feel obligated to continue to sub me on Twitch or any of that other stuff. I want you guys to make sure that you pay your bills, and maybe at some point in the future, if it's something that you want to do or are capable of doing later on, you can come back. But don't be afraid to have to stop it and then, just be hanging out and chat. Like, that's completely fine, okay? Maybe I'm preaching to the choir and speaking the obvious, but be that what it may, I just wanted to say that here. Now, all that being said, I have to pay the bills myself, and there is help in the form of sponsorships, like from Plarium and Raid Shadow Legends. So I have an ad spot that I'm going to do for that right here real quick, and hopefully you guys don't mind. It's about 45 seconds, and I'll see you on the other side, and we'll continue. You ever sit back and think to yourself, gee, I wish there were more fluffy unicorns and rainbows in my life? Me neither. For those of us capable of resisting the overwhelming allure that is K-pop, there is the dark, turn-based RPG, Raid Shadow Legends. Assemble your team, take on giant dragons or other players in the PvP arena, and now with the introduction of the much-anticipated Battle Pass, get to level 100, get yourself this crazy legendary hero, summon yourself a giant ice tornado that buffs your heroes, and by putting some time in leveling up this starter hero, you too can end up taking out an entire enemy team with one power move like this. Go to the video description, click on one of the special links below, and if you're a new player, you'll get 100,000 bonus silver and a free extra rare champion, the Hex Weaver. Once you're in the game, you'll find all of this free stuff just for you right here. When you load up, come join my clan, Arnie Best Boy, and I'll see you in there. In today's Little Things video, we're going to talk about the best possible way to get grenade kills for the tasks that you guys are working on. A really, really cool way to tell distance in this game. Some cheeky strats for scouting out areas that you're looking at from a distance, and a few other little things that were asked about in stream in the last couple of weeks. Hi everybody, my name is Onepeg, and this is Little Things episode 12, Dirty Dozen. In the game of Tarkov, one of the most daunting tasks for players, especially if they're new, are the ones where you need to get grenade kills. In this case, you have to kill PMCs using grenades. Now, this has become significantly easier given that the VOG 25 and VOG 17 grenades, with their 2-second and 2.5-second fuse times, respectively, are a lot easier to time when trying to catch a PMC unaware. But aside from grenading extract campers in the factory exits, one of the other methods that I've found that tends to be a lot more fun, albeit potentially slower to do, is the following. Now, regardless of your stances on whether or not hatchet running is a viable strategy in the game of Tarkov, we can all agree that if you have a gun and they don't, they tend to be targets of opportunity. So given the short fuses of the VOG 25 and VOG 17 grenades, and the fact that most hatchlings tend to not bring any kind of painkiller with them, the following method seems to work incredibly effectively. The ultimate idea being that once you find yourself a hatchling, you can shoot him in the leg, slow him down, and then either overhand or underhand toss a grenade toward him and get your kill that way. If you're a streamer like me, while this is definitely a bullying tactic, it serves two purposes. One, it eliminates a player using a grenade, and two, ends up with a little bit of a comedic factor. you know, for the memes. Depending on your graphic settings and resolution, it can sometimes be especially difficult to see enemies at a distance. While Tarkov and the Unity graphics engine are capable of extreme levels of detail, we all know that Tarkov, being a rather unoptimized version of the game in its current form, is something that is incredibly taxing on a lot of systems. With the picture-in-picture mechanic that exists inside of Tarkov with the scopes, etc., and the effect of field of view on stuff like scopes and what you're able to see and eye relief problems, etc., 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 it can be problematic to try and spot other people running around the map. And given that certain scopes, depending on what it is that you're using, have better or worse fields of view than others, and the fact that the reticles themselves tend to get in the way at the same time while you're trying to locate people, and that there are no spotting scopes or binoculars in the game currently, it can sometimes be hard to not only see but track your enemies as you're trying to find them. But there is one small method that might be of a little assistance when trying to make this work. Here you can see I'm on reserve, just kind of laying down on top of a bunker. And with this SVD using the EOTech Voodoo, you can scope in and see a good amount of stuff, right? Now, obviously, depending on the weather conditions of the map that you're playing on and whether or not the sun is in a certain position in the sky, there's going to be some haze, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. It all depends. But one of the things that you can do to try and spot out enemies are things like the following. Instead of trying to scope and look straight down the sights using the picture-in-picture, one of the other options that you have is you can gain a little bit of zoom by ADSing and turning your head to look instead. Now, this obviously zooms in by a factor of about 2 and gives you the ability to see a little bit more detail in front of you. Whether or not this is something that BSG plans on patching out in the future, or if this is just a visual bug because of the ADSing and the zooming in, etc., I'm not really sure. But for the time being, this is a rather viable strategy for people where you can turn your head instead, either up or to the side, to look past the viewfinding reticle of what it is that you're using at the time and get some better view of your surroundings without the rim of the scope kind of impeding your vision. Inside of Tarkov, there has been this desire to know exactly how far away something is. And to an extent, Tarkov gives us a little bit of a readout when it comes to our long shots. Now, if you land a shot over 100 meters, Tarkov gives you this end of raid screen that shows exactly how far your longest shot was. For instance, this shot that I landed on a scav, that was 232.36 meters away by this end of raid screen. But the question was always, how did Tarkov end up calculating exactly how far that was? They must have some kind of system in the game. And then the question was, well, where do we get to access this system to adequately gauge the distance between 2 points? To take a screenshot in Tarkov, you hit Alt Print Screen, and that saves a copy of what it is that you're taking a screen cap of in the Documents folder under the Escape From Tarkov directory. When you save a screen cap like this one, it ends up listing the date as well as some arbitrary other strings of numbers, unless, of course, you take a screen cap here, which ends up just listing a 0 in parentheses. But if you're on a map and you end up taking a screenshot of any kind, like this one, it lists something completely different. Yes, it lists the date and a couple of other arbitrary figures, but then we start seeing these numbers, 329, 0, 0, 0.2, 0, and 1. And then the question was, well, what the heck do these numbers mean? Well, it turns out that the first 3 numbers that are listed are X, Y, and Z coordinates. So the game, because of the Unity engine, actually has a set series of coordinates on every single map. It's a big grid system. So when you take a screenshot, the screen cap actually denotes where on this grid you physically are located. If we then go over to the scav's perspective and look back upon where he was just shot from, then there is a separate set of coordinates. In this case, 406.2, -12.3, and 219.5. 5. So again, X, Y, and Z. So what does this mean? Through some really simple geometry, using the Pythagorean theorem of all things, like we learned back in 7th or 8th grade, we can, using coordinates, figure out exactly how far away something is. In this case, it's the square root of the 2 x coordinates subtracted from each other, the 2 y coordinates subtracted from each other, and the 2 z coordinates subtracted from each other squared. When we take the coordinates that are listed on these screenshots and calculate this for distance using a really simple calculator found at calculatorsoup.com, that comes out to the very simple answer of 233. That is our D, or our distance. So going back to the originating screenshot of our distance shot for longest distance achieved of 232.36, it's very, very easy to say it's within the margin of error depending on exactly where the scav was standing when they were shot versus where I was standing when I took the screen cap, that the coordinates are actually being measured in meters or tarkometers, however it is that you want to look at it. So our grid, one full square of our grid is actually 1 tarkometer. So what does this mean? Now, on the surface, inside of a match, obviously, it's not like you're going to be running around taking a bunch of screen caps trying to figure out exactly how far away things are. But for people that are interested in knowing the exact distances between 2 familiar or common points that people end up congregating around, for example, the distances between the radar tower and the various roofs of the 2 pawn buildings, or the radar tower to the window of Scav School. All of these things now can be very, very accurately measured, and we'll know exactly how far away something is. In addition to that, that also helps people that are interested in doing community-generated maps generate maps that are actually to scale so that people know exactly how far away something is. It opens up a whole lot of possibility for people that want to know exactly how much distance there is between 2 points. Once we know the distance between 2 points, then we can also time exactly how long it takes to get between those 2 points for your PMC, for example. For people that are at level 0 strength and that run between 2 points, you can time it. And then you'll know the exact velocity of the running speed of your PMC at 0 strength or level 1 strength. And at the same time, you can also then, once you have level 51 strength, you can time exactly how long it takes to get between those same 2 points and then accurately gauge the velocity of a PMC with maximum strength. So there's a whole lot of benefits to this kind of stuff where we're able to then really accurately gauge things like travel time and distance and scale and all of these other pieces. I just thought this was really, really cool, and I can't wait to see what the community ends up actually doing with this. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you so much for checking out this Little Things video. Thank you for bearing with me through the sponsored ads and all that stuff. It really is a huge help when you guys come by and give these videos a view. My family thanks you, and stay safe. I wish none of you get any infections, and hopefully none of you have any loved ones lost from whatever the hell is going on in the world right now. All right? Thanks.